There are mornings when you wake up and before your feet even touch the floor, your mind has already started fighting battles that have not happened. You begin thinking about tomorrow, about money, about your future, about people, about responsibilities, and suddenly your heart feels heavy. But listen carefully. Asterisk, you do not have to carry tomorrow's burden into today's morning. This morning, you can breathe again. You can become still again. You can remember that God is with you and that what is beyond your strength is not beyond His ability. Sometimes anxiety begins before the day even begins. You open your eyes and your mind immediately starts producing questions. What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I disappoint someone? What if the thing I have been praying for never happens? What if I cannot handle what is coming? And if you are not careful, you can spend the entire morning trying to solve problems that have not yet arrived. But today, I want you to understand something. Asterisk, a thought is not a prophecy. Asterisk, just because your mind presents a frightening possibility does not mean that possibility is your destiny. You must learn to separate what you are thinking from what is actually happening. There is a difference between preparation and worry. Preparation says, I will do what I can. Worry says, I must control everything. And there are things you cannot control. You cannot control every person's opinion of you. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every circumstance. You cannot control everything that happens today. But you can choose where you place your attention. You can choose what voice becomes louder in your mind. You can choose to begin your morning not with fear, but with faith. Take a moment right now and breathe slowly. Do not rush. Let your mind become quiet and remind yourself, I am here. This moment is here. God is with me in this moment. You do not need to solve your entire life before breakfast. You do not need to understand everything today. You do not need to know exactly how every situation will work out. Sometimes peace does not come because you finally understand everything. Sometimes peace comes because you finally surrender what you cannot understand. There is a place of rest that becomes available when a person stops trying to carry everything alone. Prayer is not merely asking God for things. Prayer is also the discipline of releasing what has been occupying your mind. You can say, Father, I give you this day. I give you my thoughts. I give you my responsibilities. I give you the things I cannot control. Give me wisdom for what I can change and grace for what I cannot. That is a powerful beginning, because anxiety often grows when the mind keeps traveling into places where the body has not yet arrived. Your body is sitting in your room, but your mind is already in next month. Your body is at home, but your mind is already imagining conversations that have not happened. Your body is safe in this moment, but your mind is rehearsing disasters. Bring yourself back. Come back to this moment. Come back to your breath. Come back to God's presence. Come back to what is real. You have survived difficult mornings before. You have walked through seasons you once thought you could never survive. There were moments when you wondered how you would make it, and yet somehow you made it. That should teach you something. You are not as helpless as anxiety makes you feel. Fear speaks in absolutes. Fear says, everything will go wrong. Wisdom says, I do not know everything that will happen, but I can face today one step at a time. Fear says, you cannot handle this. Faith says, I will receive the strength I need for what is in front of me. This is why your morning matters. The first thoughts you entertain can influence the direction of your attention. If you begin the day feeding fear, fear can become the lens through which you interpret everything. But if you begin the day with truth, gratitude, prayer, and calm reflection, you give your mind another direction. So before you check every notification, before you allow the world to tell you what to think, take a few moments to become still. Thank God that you are alive. Thank Him for another opportunity. Thank Him for the people who love you. Thank Him for the things you sometimes overlook. Gratitude does not mean pretending that your problems do not exist. It means refusing to allow your problems to become the only thing you can see. You can acknowledge difficulty and still recognize goodness. You can have unanswered questions and still have faith. You can be concerned about something and still choose peace. Peace does not always mean that there is no problem. Sometimes, peace means that the problem is present, but it no longer controls your heart. There is a maturity that comes when you understand that not every thought deserves your attention. Your mind may say many things in the morning. You do not have to believe every thought. A thought can come and go. You can observe it without becoming it. If your mind says something terrible is going to happen, you can respond, I do not know that. I will deal with today as today comes. If your mind says, I cannot handle everything, you can respond, I do not need to handle everything at once. If your mind says, I am alone, remind yourself that you can reach out to someone you trust and you can seek God's presence in prayer. If anxiety becomes overwhelming or keeps interfering with your daily life, speaking with a trusted adult, counselor, or mental health professional is also a wise step. Seeking help is not weakness, it is wisdom. You were never designed to carry every burden silently. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is admit, I need help. And there is no shame in that. God can work through prayer, through wisdom, through supportive people, through healthy routines, and through professional guidance. Do not make the mistake of believing that believing faith means you must ignore your emotions. Faith does not require you to pretend. You can tell God, I am afraid. You can say, I am overwhelmed. You can say, I don't understand, and still believe. The strongest prayers are not always the loudest prayers. Sometimes the strongest prayer is a quiet sentence whispered with sincerity. God, help me take the next step. Not the next 100 steps, just the next one. What do you need to do this morning? Perhaps you need to get out of bed. Perhaps you need to drink some water. Perhaps you need to prepare for school or work. Perhaps you need to speak to someone. Perhaps you need to organize one small responsibility. Do that one thing, then the next. Anxiety often tries to make you climb the entire staircase in your mind. Wisdom tells you to take the next step. You do not have to live tomorrow today. Tomorrow will have its own grace. Today has enough responsibilities of its own. So breathe, slow down, let the morning be a morning. Look outside if you can. Notice the light, listen to the sounds around you. Feel your feet on the ground. These simple actions can remind your mind that you are here now. And now is where your life is actually happening. You are not required to predict the future to live well. You are required to live faithfully in the present. There is something powerful about beginning the day with intentionality. Instead of saying, what if everything goes wrong? Ask, what is one good thing I can do today? Instead of asking, how will I solve my entire future? Ask, what can I learn today? Instead of saying, I cannot handle this, say, I will take this one step at a time. Words matter because they direct attention. And attention matters because what you repeatedly focus on can become what dominates your inner world. So choose carefully what you rehearse. Do not rehearse disaster all morning. Rehearse truth, rehearse gratitude, rehearse hope, rehearse the possibility that today can contain something good. Maybe today will not be perfect. It does not need to be perfect. A good day is not necessarily a day without problems. A good day can simply be a day in which you respond to life with wisdom, courage, patience, and faith. There will be moments today when your peace is challenged. Someone may say something you do not like. Something unexpected may happen. A plan may change. You may receive news you did not expect. When that happens, remember what you practiced this morning. Pause. Breathe. Do not immediately allow fear to make decisions for you. You can respond instead of reacting. You can think before speaking. You can pray before panicking. You can ask for help before assuming you must handle everything alone. And you can remind yourself that one difficult moment does not define the entire day. One mistake does not define your future. One unanswered prayer does not mean that God has forgotten you. One disappointing experience does not mean that your story is finished. Life is bigger than the moment you are currently experiencing. So lift your eyes beyond today's fear. There is still possibility. There is still growth. There is still learning. There are still people you have not met. There are still opportunities you have not discovered. There are still prayers you have not prayed. There are still chapters you have not lived. Do not allow anxiety to convince you that the worst moment you can imagine is the only future available to you. You do not know what tomorrow holds, and that uncertainty can feel frightening. But uncertainty can also contain possibility. The same future you fear may contain answers you have been praying for. The same day you are anxious about may contain a moment of joy you never expected. So do not write tomorrow's story using today's fear. Let tomorrow arrive when tomorrow arrives. This morning, choose peace, not because everything is solved. Choose peace because you refuse to surrender your entire mind to fear. Choose prayer. Choose gratitude. Choose wise action. Choose healthy support. Choose to breathe. Choose to slow down. Choose to remember that you are still growing. And when you feel anxious again, do not condemn yourself. Simply return. Return to the present. Return to your breathing. Return to prayer. Return to truth. Return to the next right step. Let this be your morning declaration. God, I do not know everything that today will bring, but I know I do not have to face it alone. Give me wisdom for my decisions, strength for my responsibilities, patience for difficult moments, and peace in my heart. Help me release what I cannot control. Help me focus on what I can do today. Guard my thoughts from unnecessary fear. Teach me to trust you one moment at a time. Let my mind become calm, my heart become steady, and my actions become wise. I receive this day with gratitude. I will not spend this morning fighting imaginary battles. I will face what is real, one step at a time. And now, before you move into the rest of your day, remember this. You are not required to have your whole life figured out this morning. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to begin again. And you are allowed to believe that today can be different. So take another slow breath. Relax your shoulders. Relax your mind. Give God the things you cannot carry. Then take the next step. Not 10 steps, not 100, just the next step. And when the next moment comes, take another. This is how you move through anxiety. Not by demanding that you know everything about the future, but by learning to live faithfully in the present. May this morning remind you that fear does not have to be the first voice you hear. Let gratitude speak first. Let wisdom speak first. Let prayer speak first. Let hope speak first. And as you step into this day, may you remember that a difficult morning does not have to become a difficult life. Today is still being written. Take it one moment at a time. And perhaps this is the greatest lesson you can carry with you today. You do not have to fight every battle that enters your mind. Some thoughts deserve an answer, and some thoughts simply need to be allowed to pass. There is a difference between being responsible and being consumed. Responsibility says, there is something I can do. Anxiety says, I must keep thinking about it until I somehow control the outcome. But endless thinking does not always produce solutions. Sometimes it only produces exhaustion. This is why you must learn the discipline of returning your attention to what is within your reach. If you cannot solve it this morning, you do not have to solve it this morning. If you cannot answer the question today, you do not have to invent an answer. If someone has misunderstood you, you do not have to spend the entire morning defending yourself inside your imagination. If something has not happened yet, you do not have to suffer from it as though it has already happened. This is where wisdom becomes powerful. Wisdom teaches you to distinguish between a real responsibility and an imagined emergency. There may be things that genuinely require your attention, and you should deal with them. But you should not allow every possibility to become an emergency in your mind. Slow down, ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? That simple question can bring you back from the future into the present. What is actually happening right now? You are breathing. You are here. You have another morning. You have another opportunity to make a wise decision. And even if yesterday was difficult, yesterday has ended. You cannot go back and edit it, but you can decide how you will respond to today. Perhaps you made a mistake yesterday. Learn from it. Perhaps someone disappointed you. Process it. Perhaps you disappointed yourself. Forgive yourself, learn, and move forward. Perhaps you did not accomplish everything you wanted. That does not mean today has been cancelled. Every morning carries the possibility of beginning again. You do not need to carry yesterday's emotional weight into every new day. There is a reason the morning can become such a powerful time of renewal. It reminds you that life continues. The darkness of night eventually gives way to light. The silence eventually gives way to movement. And the mind that felt overwhelmed yesterday can become calmer today. Do not underestimate what can happen when you consistently practice peace. Peace is not merely something you wait to feel. It can become something you practice. You practice it when you pause before reacting. You practice it when you breathe instead of rushing. You practice it when you pray instead of spiraling. You practice it when you ask for help instead of pretending everything is fine. You practice it when you stop comparing your life to someone else's. You practice it when you stop demanding perfection from yourself. You practice it when you recognize progress, even when progress feels small. This is important because anxiety often makes you measure yourself by impossible standards. It tells you that you should already know everything. You should already have everything figured out. You should already be successful. You should already have the answer. But life does not work that way. Growth takes time. Wisdom takes time. Confidence takes time. Healing takes time. Learning takes time. You are not behind simply because you are still becoming. Never let the pressure to become everything at once destroy the joy of becoming one step at a time. There is grace in the process. There is value in learning. There is dignity in asking questions. There is strength in saying, I do not know yet. And there is courage in saying, but I am willing to learn. So when anxiety tells you that you are behind, answer it with patience. When anxiety tells you that everyone else is ahead, answer it with gratitude. When anxiety tells you that you will never succeed, answer it with action. You do not need to prove your entire future today. You only need to be faithful with today's opportunities. Perhaps you have been carrying concerns about your family. Perhaps you are worried about your future. Perhaps you are thinking about finances, relationships, school, work, responsibilities, or decisions you have to make. Bring those concerns into prayer. Not as a performance, not as perfect words. Simply speak honestly. God, this is what is troubling me. Then pause. Allow yourself to remember that you are not required to carry everything alone. Sometimes prayer changes circumstances. Sometimes prayer changes perspective. Sometimes prayer gives you wisdom. Sometimes prayer gives you patience. Sometimes prayer simply gives your heart enough quietness to recognize the next step. And sometimes the answer does not arrive immediately. That does not mean nothing is happening. You are allowed to wait without panicking. Waiting is difficult because the mind wants certainty, but maturity teaches you that you can move forward even when you do not have complete certainty. You can make the best decision you can with the information you have. You can ask wise people for counsel. You can gather information. You can pray. You can think carefully, and then you can move. Do not become trapped in endless analysis because you are afraid of making a mistake. There are moments when you have to take a reasonable step and trust that you can adjust as you learn more. Life is not a single decision. Life is a sequence of decisions. If you make a mistake, you can learn. If a plan fails, you can adjust. If a door closes, you can look for another path. A setback is not automatically a sentence. Sometimes it is information. Sometimes it is correction. Sometimes it is an invitation to grow. So do not allow one difficult experience to define your entire identity. You are more than one mistake. You are more than one disappointing result. You are more than one difficult season. And you are more than what your anxious mind says about you. Your value is not determined by how productive you are every morning. Your worth is not measured by how much you accomplish before noon. You are not a machine. You are a human being who needs rest, connection, encouragement, learning, and time. Give yourself permission to be human. This does not mean becoming careless. It means becoming balanced. There is a difference between discipline and self-punishment. There is a difference between ambition and constant pressure. There is a difference between improvement and believing you are never enough. You can desire growth without hating where you are today. You can have goals without allowing those goals to become sources of constant fear. You can desire a better future while still being grateful for the present. That balance is powerful. And perhaps this morning, you need to stop asking, what is wrong with me? Maybe a better question is, what does my mind need right now? Does it need rest? Does it need structure? Does it need encouragement? Does it need conversation? Does it need a break from constant notifications? Does it need prayer? Does it need support from someone you trust? Sometimes the solution begins with understanding rather than condemnation. Do not attack yourself for feeling anxious. Notice it, name it. Then choose your response. You can say, I am feeling anxious right now. That is different from saying, I am an anxious person and I will always be this way. Feelings are experiences. They are not permanent identities. A feeling can rise. A feeling can change. A feeling can pass. So do not build your entire future around a feeling you are experiencing this morning. Give yourself time. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself space to breathe. And if your anxiety is frequent, intense, or interfering with your ability to function, please speak with a trusted adult or qualified mental health professional. Getting support is a responsible choice, not a failure of faith. You can pray and seek help. You can have faith and use wisdom. You can trust God and still talk to someone who has the knowledge to help you understand what you are experiencing. There is no contradiction in that. In fact, wisdom often looks like knowing when you should not walk alone. You were created for connection. There are people who can listen. There are people who can encourage you. There are people who can help you see what you cannot see when your mind is overwhelmed. Do not isolate yourself inside your thoughts. Sometimes anxiety becomes stronger when everything remains inside your head. Put words to what you are experiencing. Talk to someone safe. Drop your thoughts down. Pray. Take a walk if that is safe and appropriate. Stretch. Drink some water. Eat a nourishing breakfast. Get enough rest. Build simple routines that tell your mind, I am taking care of myself. These things may appear ordinary, but ordinary habits can create extraordinary stability. Your morning does not need to be dramatic to be meaningful. You do not need to wake up with extraordinary motivation. You simply need to begin. Open the curtains, make your bed, wash your face, drink some water, take a few calm breaths, say a prayer, write down what needs your attention, then begin. Small actions can interrupt large cycles of worry, because anxiety wants you to remain trapped in thought. Action gently reminds you that you have agency. You can do something. Maybe you cannot solve everything, but you can do something. And sometimes the next small action is enough to change the direction of your morning. Do not underestimate small beginnings. A peaceful morning can begin with one peaceful breath. A disciplined life can begin with one disciplined decision. A renewed mind can begin with one truthful thought. A stronger relationship with God can begin with one honest prayer. A healthier routine can begin with one simple habit. Never despise the small step. The small step is still movement. And as you move, you begin to discover that the mountain in your imagination is often larger than the step required in reality. You may have been thinking about the entire week, but perhaps today only asks you to handle today. You may have been thinking about your entire future, but perhaps this morning only asks you to prepare for the next responsibility. You may be worrying about what everyone will think, but perhaps today only asks you to do what is right. You may be worried about whether everything will work out, but perhaps today only asks you to trust enough to take the next step. There is freedom in narrowing your focus. One day, one responsibility, one decision, one prayer, one step, then another. This is how you move forward. And when your mind tries to run ahead again, gently bring it back. Not now. I will deal with that when it is time. I am here. I am safe in this moment. I can take the next step. I do not need to solve everything right now. These are not magical phrases. They are reminders. Reminders that your mind does not have to control you. You can notice a thought without obeying it. You can experience fear without allowing fear to make every decision. You can feel uncertain without becoming hopeless. You can be concerned without becoming consumed. And you can have questions without losing faith. There is something beautiful about trusting God while still acknowledging that you do not know everything. Trust does not mean you have all the answers. Trust means you are willing to move forward even when some answers are still unfolding. Perhaps that is where you need to grow this morning. Not in knowing more, but in trusting more, not in controlling everything, but in surrendering what you cannot control, not in predicting every outcome, but in becoming faithful with what is in front of you. This morning, refuse to let fear become your identity. You are not your worst thought. You are not your biggest worry. You are not your most difficult morning. You are a person who is learning. You are a person who can grow. You are a person who can seek help. You are a person who can pray. You are a person who can begin again. And that means there is still hope. Hope does not require you to deny reality. Hope simply refuses to believe that the present moment is the entire story. So, if today begins with anxiety, do not assume the whole day is lost. You can have an anxious morning and still have a peaceful afternoon. You can begin uncertain and become confident as the day progresses. You can start overwhelmed and discover that the responsibility was smaller than you imagined. You can begin with tears and end with gratitude. Life can change within a single day, so do not judge the entire day by its first few minutes. Give the day room to unfold. Give yourself room to breathe. Give God room to work, and give yourself permission to move slowly when you need to. You do not have to compete with the pace of everyone around you. Your journey has its own rhythm. Your growth has its own timing. Your responsibilities are different. Your circumstances are different. Stop measuring your inner life against someone else's public appearance. You do not know what another person is carrying. You only see what they choose to show. So come back to your own path. What is your next responsibility? What is your next wise decision? What is one thing you can be grateful for? What is one thing you can release? What is one person you can speak to? What is one healthy action you can take? Start there. And perhaps at the end of this morning, you will discover something important. Peace was not waiting for you at the end of a perfect life. Peace began when you stopped demanding perfection from the present moment. You do not need perfect circumstances to practice peace. You need a willing heart. You need awareness. You need patience. You need truth. You need support. And above all, you need to remember that you are not alone in the process. So as you step into the rest of this day, carry this prayer with you. Father, thank you for giving me another morning. Thank you for another opportunity to begin again. Help me not to be controlled by fear about things I cannot predict. Give me wisdom to recognize what is within my responsibility, and grace to release what is beyond my control. Calm my heart when my thoughts become overwhelming. Teach me to slow down, breathe, pray, and take one step at a time. Help me seek support when I need it, and give me courage to speak honestly about what I am experiencing. Let my mind be guided by truth instead of fear. Let gratitude become stronger than worry. Let hope become stronger than uncertainty. And help me walk through this day with wisdom, patience, courage, and peace. Now take one final slow breath. You have permission to begin again. You have permission to move at a healthy pace. You have permission to ask for help. You have permission to rest. You have permission to trust the process. You have permission to believe that one difficult morning does not define your entire future. Today, you will not demand answers for every question. You will not fight battles that have not arrived. You will not punish yourself for being human. You will focus on what is real. You will take the next step. You will seek wisdom. You will pray. You will breathe. And when fear returns, you will not be ashamed. You will simply return to the present. Return to truth. Return to gratitude. Return to prayer. Return to the next step. Because sometimes the breakthrough is not that every problem disappears overnight. Sometimes the breakthrough is that you finally realize you do not have to be controlled by every problem that appears. The morning has come. The day is before you. You do not know everything that will happen, and you do not need to walk forward with humility. Walk forward with wisdom. Walk forward with hope. And remember that peace is not the absence of every challenge. Peace is the decision to meet each challenge without surrendering your entire heart to fear. Let this morning be a new beginning. Let your breathing become steady. Let your thoughts become clearer. Let your heart become lighter. Let your actions become wiser. And let this simple truth remain with you throughout the day. Asterisk, you do not have to carry tomorrow today. Today has enough grace for today. Take the next step, then the next. And when the day is finished, you can look back and realize that you made it through. Not because everything was perfect, but because you learned to face one moment at a time with faith, wisdom, courage, and hope. May your morning become calmer. May your mind become steadier. May your heart become stronger. May you find the courage to seek support when you need it. And may you never forget that asking for help does not make you weak. Sometimes it is the beginning of becoming stronger. Now, go into this day gently. Do not rush your soul. Do not punish your mind. Do not demand certainty from a future you have not reached. Take what belongs to today. Leave tomorrow in tomorrow. And trust that you can face the next moment when it arrives. This morning is not asking you to have everything figured out. It is simply asking you to begin. So begin. Breathe, pray, take the next step, and let peace have the first word today.